Welcome to the second lecture of the series Firmness and Locomotion, and in this video we need to study about bone and cartilage. Why this is important? Because as we are studying skeletal system, we need to definitely try to know a lot more about bones and cartilage, and then after we need to study about muscle so that we can understand the coordination of animals' locomotion. If you can remember the previous video that I explained that animals movement, animals move from one place to another in search of food, breeding and protection. So the system which is allowing to do this, that is skeletal system, and skeletal system and muscular system is intermingled so that coordination allows us or any other animal to move from one side to another. So as we are studying bone and cartilage, we need to know one thing, that these two is actually a modified and different form of connective tissue. So we know that in animal we have four types of tissues, that is epithelial, muscular, nerve and connective tissue. So this bone is modified version of connective tissue, and the cartilage is different type of connective tissue. Simply, if you want to define bone, so we can say that bone is actually dense. Bone is actually dense, rigid. So if I just give you the characteristics, then simply we can say that bones are dense, rigid, porous and calcified. Even we can say this is hardest and modified connective tissue. So we simply can define bone with its characteristics. So I have written some points to make you understand simply that bones are actually dense, rigid, porous, calcified, hardest and modified connective tissue. So actually these bones, the functions, I'm just coming up next functions. Before this is the definition and the formation of bones. Simply we can say that the components, which is actually organic 40% and inorganic materials 60%. So simply we can say that composition or the things that is made up of organic components or organic matrix, and these organic matrix of bones made up of collagen fiber firstly. So we can say that organic materials is collagen fiber, and that is why it is very strong. Secondly, one important thing that is present in bones, that is mucopolysaccharide. So mucopolysaccharides, which is called oesin. This is important. This is called oesin. O-E-S-E-I-N, oesin. So these two things, there are a lot of others, but mainly collagen fiber and mucopolysaccharides are the organic components which is forming the bones. And inorganic materials, in case of inorganic, we can say that inorganic, it is actually it can be like calcium phosphate, Ca3PO4 2. It is actually magnesium phosphate, Mg3PO4 2. Even it has calcium chloride, calcium sulfate. So simply you can see that calcium is present in bones because this is calcified. So as we are defining bone as rigid, dense, calcified, hardest and modified connective tissue, this is very strong, and that is why it gives the rigidity. It offers the protections of our the soft organs like brains, livers, kidneys, lungs, heart, So these soft organs are being protected by bones, and that is why it needs to be strong, and that strength comes from these compositions and these components, that is collagen fiber, mucopolysaccharide, which is also known as oesin, and all sort of calcium deposition. So that is why this organic and inorganic, so you should remember this organics is actually 40% and inorganic is 60%. So if you see the function of bones, so simply we can say that function, it can be, in case of function, it gives us, it builds our structure. Number one, the bones builds our or animal structure. So simply we can say the first one is that it builds our structure. Number two, that it protects or it offers a protection. It protects what? Our soft organs. And number three, simply the main important function of bones are hematopoiesis. Hematopoiesis, this is very important. Hematopoiesis, that is the productions of blood cell. The productions of blood cell is happening actually, the production of blood cells. So production of blood cells is happening inside bones, actually in red bone marrow. So when in red bone marrow is producing the red blood cells, the blood cells, that is called hematopoiesis. So poiesis means the production, and hemato, you know that the blood. So the production of blood cells is happening inside bones, and that is why, very simply, we can say there are a lot of other functions, but hematopoiesis is one of the main function. So simply we can say it's bearing our weight, bones. It's actually giving the shape of our body. It's continuously coordinating with muscles, with tendon, with ligament and other things, nerve, for our locomotions and movement. So number four, we can say that this bones is actually coordinating with muscles, tendon, ligaments and nerve for the locomotion or the movement. So simply number four, we can say that is coordination. So you should remember, in case of function of bones, hematopoiesis is the production, locomotion helping, that is actually the main coordination, the main function of bones, and very simply this is the definition, the composition and the function. Now if we think simply that the types of bones, we will find two types of bones, that is compact bone. So it seems the word itself explains, compact means strong. So strong because the matrix are very dense here, and the cells and the calcium deposition also helps to make it very stronger, because in case of bones we will have the cells, and these cells are called osteocyte, osteoblast and osteoclast. Simply the cells, if we can remember the cells of bones, we will find number one, that is osteoblast, number two osteocytes, cytes, and number three, that is osteoclasts. So we have usually three types of cells of bones, that is osteoblast, cyte and clast. Now if you can remember the layers of bones, we should know we have two layers of bones, that is number one, which is from outside, is periosteum, and inside endosteum. So you should remember one more thing, that is layers of bone. So simply we can say that periosteum is the layer which is outer layer, And number 2, this is endosteum, which is inner or medullary. You can say that inner layer very shortly and simply. The periosteum is again, it has 2 layers, that is fibrous layer and cambium layer. So in case of periosteum, we should remember that it has 2 more types, that is fibrous layer, so it produces fibroblast, and number 2, that is cambium layer endoblast. So I have just shown you a very basic and primary information regarding bones. Students of English versions, if you are watching this video from standard 9 or 10 level, or even intermediate or HSC or even O level, I hope this will definitely help you, or even you may know when you will definitely read your books very sincerely. So in case of bones, we will define it as a dense, rigid, calcified, hardest and modified connective tissue. We know the layers of bones is periosteum, and it has another layer inside, this is endosteum. The periosteum, it has 2 more layers, that is fibrous outside and cambium inside. So in case of composition, you should remember organic material, which is mucopolysaccharide, and collagen fiber, it makes the inside the organic material, and inorganic is calcium chloride, calcium sulfate, even calcium phosphate and magnesium phosphate. So in case of function, you should remember this very simple thing. Now if you think closely, then the type of bones, we simply know that the type of bones are 2 types. That is what? Compact bone. So number 1, the types of bone, that is compact bones, and number 2, that is spongy bone. Okay, what does it mean? Compact, it means stronger, it means there is no space in between. So compact, it means rigid. So compact bone, it's mainly this is very strong, as because the matrix is densely united with the calcium deposition. And also one thing, remember that the main functional unit of this compact bone is osteon, or it says this is Haversian system. So osteon or the Haversian systems makes this compact bone, and it has a nerve ending, because the bones actually, it has a nerve ending, and it's sensitive. Cartilage, it doesn't have any nerve ending, and that is why cartilages are insensitive. Bones are sensitive. This is fragile and fracturable. These compact bone are fragile. It's actually not fragile, actually we can say this is fracturable, strong and fracturable. This is very strong due to the calcium depositions, and also the matrix are very dense. This osteon, it has again 4 parts. That is very important. Number 1, it has Haversian canal. I'll definitely upload another video based on bones to explain the figures and Haversian canals. There are other 4 parts. That is number 2 is lamellae, and number 3 is lacunae, and number 4 is canaliculi. So if you are watching from 9th standard, it might sound very harsh to you, but in case of HSC and O-level students, they need to study about the Haversian system, which is present inside bones. Like bones, if you see that bones, the structure of bones, it will find like this, that the structure is made up of there is some sort of like space in between these, like this, and this channel is known as Haversian channel. There are a lot of space in between these, and like this actually. So if you see, there are a lot of space, and this channel, and inside, this is the cells, the osteocyte, osteoblood and osteoclast are forming the compacted bone. And if you see the structure of this bone, you will find these channels. And if you just look at this part, then it will looks like a circular part. Inside there will be a canal, and this canal is based on, actually there are arteries, there are veins, also present inside, and there are nerve also present. And outside, if you see a circular structure that is inside connected with each other, and this small structure is again connected with the circular channel that is called canaliculi. So inside bones, if we see closely, we will find this Haversian canal, which is enriched with blood vessels and also lymphatic vessels, and that is why it has nerve ending inside, and that is why bones are sensitive. So if there is any damage occurs in bones, you can definitely feel it, but in case of cartilage, there is no nerve ending inside attached, so cartilage are insensitive. And this Haversian canal, this lamellae is the circular wedges. This circular wedges is lamellae, and this is Haversian canal, and this smaller pores is known as lacunae, and different lacunae is connected with another circular channel that is called canaliculi. So in case of defining bones, we defined it earlier. We know the layers of bones, we know the cells of bones, and also in case of compact bone, we studied that it has osteon or Haversian system, and each Haversian system, it has four parts, that is Haversian canal, lamellae, lacunae and canaliculi. Okay, very simply I'm just giving you the information, and which is also available in your book. And now if you think about cartilage, before going to explain the spongy bones, it's actually porous and not stronger like compact bone. It has a very thin column of the bones, which is called trabeculae. This is called trabeculae. So the spongy bones are actually the bones which is not stronger, but it has a pores and flexible also. It's not actually flexible, but it's comparatively less stronger. So that is why the compact bone, most of the cases, our outer bones like femur, humerus, radius ulna, tibia and fibula is made up of compact bone. And inside, when there is a porous bone, this is called spongy bone. In case of cartilage, this is comparatively elastic. So in case of cartilage, what happens? As you know that the cartilage are elastic and flexible. Cartilages is different types of connective connective tissue, and which is comparatively soft and flexible, but it's not fracturable, it's fragile. So simply cartilages are what we can say in case of cartilage. We simply say this is comparatively soft, elastic and flexible. Why? Because this cartilage is situated in between the bones. Like we have vertebra, so in between two vertebrae we have cartilage, which gives the flexibility of our body, and it protects from the rubbing of two bones and from decaying. So due to the activity of cartilage, like we have cartilage in many aspects, like see the nose, the tip of the nose is very soft, and this is actually cartilage. This one, the pinna, the external ear, is also cartilage. And we have cartilage in a lot of spaces in between the bones. So the different type of connective tissue which is giving the flexibility and elasticity of the bone joints, that is called cartilage. And simply the cartilage is the things which is not sensitive. It has no nerve ending, and the cells of cartilage is known as chondrocyte. The layers of cartilage is known as perichondrium. So very simply, the cartilages actually giving us the flexibility and elasticity in the bone joint. If we see very simply the types of cartilage, we will have 4 different types of cartilage. The types of cartilage, we see number 1, hyaline cartilage. Number 2, we'll find yellow fibrous cartilage. So from the name we also can see this hyaline means very transparent, so it has a refractive index and the bluish white in color, but actually this is transparent. Yellow fibrous is made up of yellow fibrous means yellow color says itself. And number 2, that is white fibrous, and number 4 we have calcified cartilage, calcified cartilage. So from the name also we can understand the types and the function of cartilage. More explanation based on this cartilage with the figure will come up, but in this level I'm just giving you a simple primary level idea that what is bones and cartilage. The next video would be on the differences between bones and cartilage, and the next up would be the explanation of the muscles and the difference between the voluntary, involuntary and cardiac muscle, and then after we will study the difference between the tendon and ligament. So all of these activities on all of these tutorials will made up of the summative idea about the chapter firmness and locomotions. I hope your study would be good, and if you have any recommendations, do not hesitate to share with me in the comment sections, or you can definitely talk with me, or you can communicate with me through Facebook page. So take care, stay well, coming up with the difference between bones and cartilage.